What's up, fam? Back again. I'm just here addressing the teachings of Gino Jennings. You know, sometimes I wonder where these people, do they even question this shit? Black people don't like to question shit. Now, as old as his dumbass is, you would think that he would have questioned where that book came from. Now, Abraham, Ibn Ezra, along with Moses and Amenedes, Solomon ben Isaac, dreamed up that imaginary God somewhere during the 11th century, 11th, 12th, somewhere in that area. Not past the 13th. Johannes Gutenberg printed the first Bible in 1455. It was followed by other Bibles. Now, you can look up Abraham, Ibn Ezra, and Moses and Amenedes in the encyclopedia or Wikipedia. You could also look up the commentators of the Torah, and you will find their names at the bottom of the text for resources. They wrote those books, and there was no such thing as no beginning. That was their beginning. That was the beginning of a Jewish reign. When they wrote that Bible shit in the beginning is the beginning of a Jewish reign. It's not in the beginning of no time where no imaginary silly ass God started creating the world, which was already here. That's why they had to backdate that from Bishop Usher. He tried to use scriptures to try to say that God invented the world in 4004 BC. And this is well documented. You can't have a God creating the world in 4004 BC when it was already here. You can't have no God making no Adam and Eve, when people was already here by millions of years. Now, I often hear them talking about women, and I'm not going to get into the women. I'll get into that later. But I hate to see black people trying to interpret some other people's writing to their own understanding and then try to get the assembly, because that's what church is. It's just assembly, to believe this shit. And then they go right ahead and start clapping as if this man is really talking about something. He's not talking about nothing. He's interpreting somebody else's foolish writings. That's all he is doing. Now, he often talks about the tribe of Judah. There was no 12 tribes of no damn Israel. That is ridiculous. This is an article that I have here. You can find this in the encyclopedia. This is the history of ancient Israel and Judah. Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia. But on this is the second page, and it's about the fourth paragraph. Let me read to you and say what it says. It says, the name of Israel first appears in the stele of the Egyptian pharaoh Meneptah, circa 1209 BCE, before Common Era. Israel is laid waste, and his seed is no more. This Israel was a cultural and probably political entity of the Central Highlands, well enough established to be perceived by the Egyptians as a possible challenge to their hegemony, but an ethnic group rather than an organized state. Archaeologist Paula McNutt says it is probably during Iron Age 1, that would be, Egypt would be in its 19th dynasty at that time, 19th dynasty. Iron Age 1, 1200 BCE. During the Iron Age 1, that a population began to identify itself as Israelite, differentiating itself from its neighbors via prohibitions and intermarriage, on emphasis on family history and genealogy and religion. Now, if these first people is calling themselves Israelites, in Iron Age 1, surely we would have evidence of these 12 tribes. But we don't have no evidence because it wasn't never no 12 tribes. Them 12 tribes of Israel is nothing more than the 12 cranial nerves that's in your skull, or the 12 constellations that's in the universe that the sun moves through on a cycle year by year. That's why it goes through each constellation. That's what the sun is doing. For example, the reason Jesus had to be 30 years old when he started his ministry or was baptized, because it takes approximately 30 days for the sun to move from the winter solstice, which is December 21st, till January 19th, which is Aquarius, the water bringer, John the Baptist. And this is why people are confused with these Bible stories when Jesus is saying that after him, John the Baptist would come. But people were confused because John the Baptist had already had his head cut off. He wasn't really talking about a person. This is what he was speaking of, was an age, because the age that Jesus was created in was the age of Pisces. That's why these people have these two fish behind, on their cars. You see them with the two fish because it represents the age of Pisces. Somebody that was writing this story already knew that age was going to be going out. And the next age was Aquarius, the water bringer, John the Baptist. These people have, how could I say, they have took these stars and planets and personified these as supposed to be beings or people. The Bible has, and it says that God is the sun. Where is my Bible? For the Lord God is a sun and shield. The sun is electric, L. The shield is magnetism. I think that's Isaiah 43. No, it's not in Isaiah. But anyways, there's so much stuff going on through my mind right now. But anyways, I don't want to get thrown off on that, because it's going to take me off of what I'm trying to do. But what I'm trying to say is that you can't have people escaping from Egypt when they wasn't born yet. Now, around this time of 12 BC, it says, the name of Israel appears in the stele of the Egyptian pharaoh Menepetal. This is Menepetal. That's him. That's who was ruling during the 19th dynasty. Can you see where it says 19th dynasty? 19th dynasty. Right here. 19th dynasty. Right there. You can't have people escaping from Egypt when they wasn't born yet. These are not real people in the Bible, Pastor Jennings. You're not no pastor. You need to go back and reevaluate who taught you this bullshit, because Abraham, Ibn Ezra, Moses, and Menendez was born around the 11th or 12th century. I have dates of them in other places, but you need to look them up. Now, concerning the New Testament, the Piso-Flavian family wrote all of that. So there was no Paul, there was no Mary, there was no Jesus. So when you keep telling these people, trying to use people as examples, you're using somebody else's fairy tale story. These people was writing these scriptures during different war times. You have these people was fighting all the way from from the time of Alexander the Great. Wasn't even no Bible yet. Matter of fact, it wasn't. The Flavian family hadn't even started writing the Gospels. That was way on down the line. But when they did, these people was in war with the Jews. It was a war going on. Those scriptures were made for war times, trying to get people to worship the Roman emperors as living gods. But the masses wasn't going for it. So I don't know why you're trying to tell these people that it's some mystery God up in the sky and some devil under the ground when it was a made up character from Jewish mythology trying to control people. And Lord just means, let's look up this word Lord. See what it has to say about Lord. It says, Lord, one who has dominion over others, a master, chief, or ruler, one who exercises authority from property rights and owner or possessor of land, from property rights and owner or possessor of land, houses, etc. A feudal superior, the proprietor of a manor, a titled nobleman or peer, or one whose ordinary appellation contains by courtesy the title Lord or some higher title. There's no damn Lord in no damn sky, you know. Furthermore, I heard you talking about a Trinity of a Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. I don't believe in the Trinity either, and I'm glad you don't. But what I didn't hear you say, a Trinity of a Father, Son, and a child, because all three of those are one God, one love, one people. You don't have to be separating, you know, because if you're going to be dealing with a ghost, then you're dealing with something that's dead. But without that mother and that father to produce that child, you have nothing. Imaginary gods don't come here helping us reproduce. That's just foolishness. What you need to do is look up slavery in the churches. Read that. Get on that, slavery in the churches, because that's what you're doing. You're keeping the people enslaved with your nonsense. You're not doing nothing but telling stories of Roman and Jewish literature. It don't even belong to you. Got nothing to do with you, but to enslave your mind. That's all it is. Now, prove me wrong on that. Now, I could also give you the correct meaning of the church. You probably don't even know what that means. Look into it. Look into it. Now, what we have is, we have Christian Black Codes of 1724. Mr. Jennings, you familiar with that? Black Codes, 1724. These people got your mind messed up. Now, Article 1, decrees expulsion of the Jews from the colony. Article 2, make it imperative on masters to impart religious instructions to their slaves. Article 3, permits the exercise of the Roman Catholic's creed only. Every other mode of worship is prohibited. Negroes placed under the direction of supervision of any other person than a Catholic are liable to confiscation. Sundays and holy days are to be strictly observed. All Negroes found at work on these days are to be confiscated. And I could go on and on with this list, Mr. Jennings. They're keeping the people down, you know. Now, foolishness in Christ. Take a good look, Mr. Jennings, because that's what you're doing. You're doing foolish things as such other people. Let's see what it says about foolishness for Christ. Foolishness for Christ refers to behavior such as giving up all one's worldly possessions upon joining a monastic order, or to deliberate flouting of society's conventions to serve a religious purpose, particularly of Christianity. Such individuals were known as both holy fools and blessed fools. The term blessed connotes both feeble-mindedness and innocence in the eyes of God. The term fools for Christ derives from the writings of St. Paul. Desert fathers and other saints acted the part of holy fools, as have the Uradavi or Iradespo of Eastern Orthodox asceticism. Fools for Christ often employ shocking, unconventional behavior to challenge accepted norms, deliver prophecies to mask their pity. Parallels for this type of behavior exist in non-Christian traditions as well. It says the Old Testament. Certain prophets of the Old Testament who exhibited signs of strange behavior are considered by some scholars to be predecessors of fools for Christ. The prophet Isaiah walked naked and barefoot for about 3 years, predicting a forthcoming activity in Egypt. Isaiah 20:2 and 3, King James Version. The prophet Ezekiel lay before a stone which symbolized beleaguered Jerusalem, and though God instructed him to eat bread baked on human waste, ultimately he used cow dung, that's cow shit, instead. Now, you telling me a guy got this man eating shit, a prophet, and you up here preaching about this bullshit. Where the fuck is your mind at? According to Christian ideas, foolishness included consistent rejection of worldly cares of imitating Christ, who endured mockery and humiliation from the crowd. That's why spiritual meaning of foolishness from the early ages of Christianity was close to unacceptable of common social rules of hypocrisy, brutality, and thirst for power and gains. Now let's move on to something else. The Piso, this is a book I have, which is a very good book. I suggest you, anybody out there reading this, you could purchase this. It's called Piso Christ. And also, it's another one you could download, the PDF. You can probably type in Piso Christ, but it should come up. The True Authors of the Gospel. And with this, you'll be in a circle of people, but it'll tell you, welcome to the circle. But it's about 13 pages. You could download the PDF. And in this book, it will tell you who the authors are of the books of the so-called New Testament. You know, it will tell you about the Fabian family, having members of that family writing different scriptures during wartime, trying to convince these Jewish people that they were gods. The Romans recorded the attack on Jerusalem in Matthew 20 as being a prophecy. It wasn't no prophecy. It was a planned attack in 70 CE by Vespasian and his son Titus, Flavian. It was a planned attack. I also have another book, Caesar's Messiah, the Roman Conspiracy to Invent Jesus, which is another very good book. And when you start putting the pieces together in these different war times, you'll start seeing how these pieces fit together and points right at these Flavians for inventing Christianity. It's not just shit. It don't belong to us. You know what I mean? Stop keeping our people down. And then you're going to use Jewish and Roman literature to put our people down. Our people is in a terrible condition. You know what I mean? You know, what happened to us, people act like we wasn't enslaved. A lot of us had a bad thinking process because of this. Some of us can't even think for ourselves because we don't allow other people through their religious bullshit to think for us. And we're not questioning, but it's time to question. And it's time to question you too, Mr. Jennings. It's time to question your authority and your knowledge of these books. You know, why are you not telling the people that these aren't real people in the book? Besides keeping them in the spell. You're just keeping them in the spell to get their money. There are no people born in no damn sin. Sin means death. There ain't no babies born into no death. You know, it's created debt for them. So if that's a sin, then I could go with that. You know what I mean? But you come here with nothing, you're gonna leave with nothing. That sin bullshit is the biggest church scam that ever happened. That's probably the biggest scam on the planet. You know, promising somebody or telling somebody that they had imaginary sins or imaginary debts, and some imaginary character named Jesus died to pay those debts. Now you got these people worried about if they're going to see this imaginary God or this imaginary devil when they die, which is foolishness, you know? And then it's all, you get these people to fund your church off of their fucking stupidity because you're keeping them stupid. You're not no man of God. You're a man of your mother. That's the only God you know. That's why you got nipples, because you was a bitch first. You was a female. You got testicles. They was once ovaries. You see what I'm saying? If you made in the image of God, God had to be your mother, Mr. Jennings. You know, and that's all I had wanted to address to you. You know, stop talking about the women the way that they do. Yeah, some of the women got some problems, some men too. Men like you have a problem. You don't even know your history. You don't even know who wrote the Bible. You don't even have a clue. You're going around here playing with imaginary characters, spooking everybody else up. Want to put people out your church, want to throw people out the church, getting your little soldiers to do your little dirty deeds for you. You know, read for yourself. Why you got to get somebody else to read? Keeping them furthermore in their delusion, you know, because your God is a delusion. Don't went right past your mother. You know, I hear you talking about Trinity and you don't say nothing about the Father, mother, and child. You would put that woman and the child up there, and then you don't say nothing about the Father. You know, we one people, one love, one God, and that's it. These people obviously had a problem with the African woman being a co-creator with the universe, and obviously you got a problem with it too. You know, but you need to get off that shit. You know, and the church is dead. The church been dead. You know. Become as you are. People doing what they want to do. You know, they just don't have nowhere else to run to. But this is a time where people are going to be looking for new gods and all that shit rather than looking into themselves. Know thyself. That's why if you knew yourself, you would know that them 12 tribes of Judah are nothing but the 12 cranial nerves in your skull. And Jesus Christ is the pineal gland. You understand? People don't die and come back in 3 days. That's a story about the winter solstice. The sun doesn't move out of the belly of the Tropic of Capricorn for 3 days. And after December 24th, we get a birth of the new sun and our days start getting longer, just like they're getting shorter now. You know, summer just began. The days start getting shorter after June 21st. Have a nice day, Pastor Jennings. Get back to you. Peace.